Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Bridging Impact Podcast, the podcast that is passing wisdom to the next generation of athletes, coaches, and parents to transform the next generation of leaders on and off the court. So, in today's episode, I have a beautiful opportunity to interview Coach K. She is the founder of Game Changers Performance, and she has also been a coach and a teacher for previous 15 years prior with softball and field hockey. So, in today's episode, we talk a lot about how to respond to mistakes as coaches, how to create safe spaces for athletes to feel like they belong, how to create cultures that not only are successful during games, but throughout the entire season. It's really action-packed, and I can't wait to share it with y'all. So let's dive in. Hello, Coach V, and welcome to the Bridging Impact Podcast. I'm thrilled for our conversation today, and I'm grateful you have taken the time out of your busy schedule today to, have this conversation around how we can, continue to bridge impact to the next generation of basketball players and athletes. So welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Absolutely. So let's dive right in. Bridging Impact is all about passing that impact back to the next generation. But before we pass that impact on, we had to receive that impact from other coaches, trainers, and just the game of basketball. So can you talk about how, coaches in your life and the game of basketball has made an impact on you?
Oh, man, it's a huge impact. I mean, when I started at 13 years old at the school, just, getting to know the game and whatnot, till today, when it's been a long journey, full of fun and full of ups and downs. But I mean, I traveled the world through basketball. I met a lot of people. I met the president of my country. I met a lot of high level officials, high level people, very famous people, and regular daily people too. I cherish my relationship, and I build a relationship with my uh, teammates, coaches, and now my players, and the basketball community altogether.
Absolutely. That's wonderful. And, for those that are listening and are wondering, what country are you from, and what was your experience and like playing basketball there?
Absolutely. I'm originally from Lebanon. I played there for 18 years professional basketball. They have a good high level team there, the national team of Lebanon. I played there for 12 years with the national team of Lebanon. If you don't know, it's been this year also they qualified to the World Championship, so it's one of the top in the Asia. Last year, Lebanese national team went to the finals with competing against Australia. They lost by 2 points. So Australia also moved to Asia to play there. So it's a country that loves basketball, lives and breathes basketball. It's number one sport in Lebanon. When I used to play there, also we won the championships there, and the whole country knows about basketball, and they know about every player, and it's a small country. So from Middle East. So yeah, that's my country. So I played there for a long period of time, even though I had opportunity to play overseas and elsewhere, but I was so happy and content with the league that I was playing in.
No, that's really cool. And I think it's really awesome to see how global the game of basketball is. And, because sometimes here in America, we're like, we only think basketball is the NBA, but in reality, there's a ton of other countries that are in love with the game, and that you can just take a little, the ball and a couple of hoops, and you can play that with anyone, any nationality throughout the world. And it's just a great way to connect with people. You talked about how you were able to, travel through the game of basketball. So can you talk about how, and you briefly mentioned it, but just how the game of basketball has helped connect you to so many different people across so many different cultures?
You know what? When I started, I never had in my wildest imagination that I will be traveling the world. I mean, so when you play professional basketball, you compete with other countries. If you're playing for your national team, you go play home and away games, and a lot of times you go to championship. So we did personally with my team back then called Sages, and we won the Asian Championship, Arab Championship. So we became very big short period of time. So it allows us to meet a lot of people. When you become known or famous, you get a lot of invitation, a lot of invites to go to play. Then I became also a coach. I coached also for like 14 years of FIBA basketball. So during the coaching, also you travel different. Especially in like the world is so small. In America, it's like traveling to another state. It's like a traveling different country and back home. The countries are too close. In Europe also it's the same. Like people travel a lot, which opens up. You meet the other people, you see other people training, you see the level of other players, and that also helps big time. Like it doesn't have to be only where you're living. So yeah, basketball opened up a lot of doors for me. I could have done a lot of things, but I was so focused on my game and my team. I never took it as a look at it as a business or as something I can get benefit from it. I always thought like I have to give to the sports, and that was my passion, and still is. If you don't have passion for this game, you're not gonna go too far. That's how I believe in it.
No, I love that. And I think it's a really cool perspective that you have around giving back the game. And I'd love to, kind of dive into, it sounds like when you were a player, can you talk about what that transition was like from going from a player, playing on these national teams to then becoming a coach? Was it challenging to, when you have an understanding of the game, and then you kind of, I know sometimes as a young coach for me, like I assume players know what I'm talking about, but
Exactly.
it's a transition to kind of,
Absolutely.
teach the game.
Yes. Um, well, again, I never planned. Again, a lot of time people we say like, you have to plan this, you have to plan that. I never planned to become a coach. Um, when I retired, it happened. Like even when my retirement, um, the head coach of my team used to coach also the women's team in that club. So he told me like um, the assistant. There was a trip to go overseas, and the assistant couldn't make it through because he was busy or something. So he said, "You know what? Why don't you come with me?" Like Um, so I went with the team. So my wife also played basketball, so uh, she was with the team. So I went there. I didn't want to sit on the assistant. I mean, on the bench. I just like want to watch and what's happening. So the coach was insisting to me, like, no, sit down here, watch from a different perspective. Not as a player. So I was just cheering for the team and encouraging them and giving them my, what, hey, you can do this, you can do that, like a natural thing, you're just trying to help. And what happened was like the team loved me and loved my, I don't know what they loved about me at that time. And they asked the management to hire me as the assistant coach or something like that. And I was against it because I didn't want to take the job of that. But what happened is my coach left to another team, so it opened up a door for me. So uh, there was another invitation, international. They said, "Would you like to go?" Because the coach cannot make it, the head coach at this time. So I took that, and we won, and we went there, and we won the championship, and that got a lot of hype, and and people start talking about it. But again, I on that same thing, I went and start coaching younger teams, college basketball, small college basketball teams, just to learn more. And the transition uh, happened naturally, but I spent a lot of time because I knew how to do it, but I didn't know how to teach that. Like what's the basic? How to I dissect that everything that I learned, and that's the biggest challenge. And I see a lot of coaches struggles in that, like how to give that how to take that food and make it a baby food for them, just to make them understand um, why we're doing that. It's not enough to say, in my time the coach will tell us like, hey, this is it. We didn't have any other option or opinion. We didn't even think about having another opinion. Okay, coach, with you want us to do that, we'll do that. We never questioned it. And to teach that to the players, you have to start learning, like, can't give all this information at once, asking them to do certain moves that you have to be athletically capable, or physically, or size wise, or it's a different position, different moves. And basically that's the most important thing in training, like just to know how to give and make the right assessment and give them the right training and the right tools to use, to help them get better. That's the purpose, that's the goal. And it took me a lot of time to trial and error with teams and learning, especially when you're coaching overseas, like there's a pressure of losing your job, so you have to be always on the top of it. It's not like here, you can you can be a coach for 30 years and 40 years. I mean it's a boredom, like, you have to have some pressure, like, what. And also I'm developed the mindset of, like, when I'm coaching a team, I want my assistant to replace me. I want to help my team, my group, the assistant coaches that I have, whoever I have with me, managers, players. It's all we have to develop. I should get better and make them better. We should, like, make everyone better. And when I leave, and I want my assistant to replace me, and to continue. It's not like I don't want to tell them anything, or I don't want to teach them anything, so I stay in my position. For me, that's a big no-no. Like, it's like a water. You have to, like, keep moving. If you stay one place, you're gonna stink. And you can have a success for a long period of time, a place. That's a different story. But as a development, and when you're trying to go from a college level, let's say, or high school level, to small high school to a bigger high school, and all those levels, make an impact in the life of the surrounding that you have, not only the players, even the teaching the parents what to expect, what not to expect, how to think, how to develop. I enjoy it, like any subject, any basketball subject that pops up, like I'm always into it, like I want to talk about it. I'm like, you're just like pressing a button, and I start giving it all that I have. So
Yeah, no, that's beautiful. It sounds like, you just gave a lot of wisdom there for those that are listening. So I'm going to try and, repackage it. And I really like what you were talking about in terms of, like, as a coach, you really want to help develop your assistant coaches, because that's the nature of the game. You want to, whether they go and take over your job, right, at where you are, or they go on to, continue to grow the game. That's bridging that impact. And it's not just about winning, kind of what I hear. You said it all without saying it's about more than winning. It's about really impacting the people. And also, as a coach, right, it's, you said the baby food, right? You got to
yeah.
understand how to teach the game, the ABCs, instead of just telling them what it is. It is a different kind of transition and era, and talking about the why. So as a coach, I'm kind of hearing you talk, but can you talk a little bit more about really the biggest differences that you have seen in the game of basketball from when you started to now where you are today?
The game is changing. You have to also be. I'm like a sponge. Like, I want to learn. I'm very curious, and that's in me. As my character helped me a lot, because I curious to know, like, how can I make this drill better? How can I make this drill serve our purpose? When you're a trainer, I believe that you should be also a coach. Why? Because you have to look at it as a coaching point of view. A lot of trainers that I see, that they only focus on, like, copying a move from someone, an NBA player, and trying to teach that. That's a big no-no. If you know some knowledge, you have some good knowledge of basketball. The international basketball is so focused on the development, that there is a lot of programs, and the major programs, to help. Even some of those programs are sponsored by the Federation of International Basketball, to teach the kids the right way and stuff like that. In America, it's totally different. Like here, uh, anyone can have a coaching position. Anyone can be a high school coach. Anyone can have some experience, and even if you take that, and a lot of them use that as a side hustle, like, I'm doing this because I want to go there, I'm going to do this because. But what about the life of the kids that you're involved with? Like, those people are human beings, like, you're there to teach them. They're like waiting for you to give them the wisdom, the knowledge, the techniques, the whatever it's needed for them to grow and get better. When you treat it as a side hustle, and something to move on, like a bridge to cross to somewhere else, um, be that's why I say, like, give them the right way, give them, do your homework, do your due diligence, do everything you need. Understand your players. Nowadays it's like everybody's recruiting a player and they don't want to deal with these things, the old school kind of, like, digging, learning and teaching. It's all about, like, what, why to do the work, and I can get so and so player, under the table, over the table. It's like, it's everything is a lot of coaches having the AAU team, and doing that to supplement their program. It's a broken system. Everybody knows that, and everybody's trying to take advantage of it, and nobody's looking at it like, how can I help them get better while I'm pursuing a dream? I'm not saying you don't have to, you have to stay one place. I already told you, like, I want to move to somewhere else, but while I'm moving, I'm 100% focused on what I'm doing, the task that I have. How can I help them? How can I teach them the game? It's not just train them the game, teach them the game, let them understand the game, let them read the game, let them know what to expect and what not to expect, what to do and what not to do. Most of the time I learn a lot of things, like, not to do. It's a lot of time is not to do, not to do this, not to do that, um, whatever it may be. I mean, so yeah, I mean, it's totally different here. It's there's a lot of levels in every in high school level. There's a lot of levels there, and there's a lot of players, but there is not a lot of good coaches. There is no a program for coaches to go there and learn. It's not everything you get on YouTube, if you have enough experience, if you played professional, if you play high level, if you coach high level, it's easy to pick some move, and it's easy to understand the YouTube drill, if whatever is that. I mean, yes, we take from each other, but you have to know uh, the teaching behind it, the purpose behind that drill. It's not just get a drill and do it, or some move. It's gonna look good on the social media. It's not about that. It's like it's about the development of the players. Your purpose will be that, and the success will come. It's not like I was pursuing the training success, or coaching success, or player success. It's not like that. You're in it, you give it all, you learn daily. Until today I learn, I check the movies, check those clips, or sometimes it's now becoming everything is highlight, highlight, highlight. I mean, highlight. I mean, when I was a coach, when we were recruiting players and import players for our professional team, I was one of the main guy that do the scouting reports and getting those players. What we always looked at it is, like, we never looked for highlights. We never wanted the highlights. And if we were watching a highlight just for entertainment purpose, like, let's see what he's doing there, it was always like checking: is he wearing the same color all the time in the clip? And the opponent team, is it the same color, or is it like two baskets from here, two highlights from another game, one highlight from here? It's a mix of too many games. It's easy to get like 20 baskets, 20 uh, highlights of 40 games, right? But can you do that for 40 highlights in one game? No, of course not. So we want to watch the full game, and I think college coaches here, also the good ones with a good program, they will look for that, the full game. And a lot of time they don't even watch that, it's not. And a lot of those kids are like, oh, I'm gonna make an highlight, I'm gonna make an highlight. I never had a highlight when I was playing until my, I never had the highlight. Your game will talk about, people will talk. If you're good enough, they will know about you. So there is a lot of like broken things. I don't think it can be fixed, especially when everything is pushed on social media, likes and follows and stuff like that, and people chasing that. A lot of trainers are also chasing that, which is sad. but that's how it is, you know. I'm not saying you can't get recognized by your good work, but focus on getting recognized by your development of the player, and not about, oh, this trainer has so and so, and the drills are cool, it looks nice, he has a lot of following, has a lot of likes. Those will come if you're doing your job. Those will come. You don't think about it, right? So yeah, I mean, there's a lot to talk about, but yeah, I'm trying to trim it, you know.
No, I love all that. And so much of it, there's so much wisdom in there. And as a young coach and young trainer, that's really good for me to learn all of that. I think one of the things that, I've kind of noticed when I was just getting into coaching is how many people know the game of basketball, but don't know how to teach the game of basketball to youth. And that's kind of one of the big things one of the reasons I started the podcast, so I can kind of, interview people like yourself that they can, kind of pass that wisdom on and be that kind of bridge to then teach the youth. My curiosity is, you touched on it a little bit at the end, is like real, true player and human development, right? Person development. It's more than just a game of basketball, as the both of us know. I'm curious how you approach that.
The development of, when you have a sincere purpose in training, and you're meeting with this individual, your questions are like, how can I help this player in the environment that he is? It's not like what I think he needs to do, it's also what the coach needs from him to do. uh, and I always ask, like, what's happening, how did you play, how was the game, coach? I didn't play much, the coach doesn't like me, da. A lot of time you hear that. Um, or I just got like 8 minutes, 10 minutes. I couldn't do much. I made two mistakes. Coach subbed me out. Blah blah blah. So okay, and I started asking questions like, okay, during the timeouts, what was the coach asking from the team? Sometimes they can't answer that. They don't, because they're all focused. Why I'm not playing? Why I'm not playing? And when they understand me after a couple of times asking the same question, they so pay attention to coach, what the coach is asking. A lot of time they will come and say, coach was asking about rebounds, we weren't rebounding, but I'm a shooting guard, coach. I say, you know what, there's another shooting guard on the team, right? So is he rebounding? Maybe not. Go rebound, the coach will like you more. I mean, more coach wants you to get those rebounds, or playing defense. You're not playing good defense. And what's your advantage on the next guy that you have on your team? And so now their mindset is shift now. Oh, he's not only thinking like about minutes and shooting and whatnot. He's trying to do the dirty job or whatever. It's not dirty job, but I mean some job that it's like, as if it's not only the centers should get the rebound, or only I mean, you can be a center and be a shooter. You can be a guard. It's the taking the position out of the basketball. I don't teach position basketball. I teach basketball. It's not about especially with the younger kids. I mean, you don't know if is a 5'10" guy. Is he? You're playing him as a center and a freshman. I mean, you don't know if this guy is going to go 6'10" or he's going to stay. He's going to be like max 6. You teach them the right, and the position will come. Every team can be a different position, and a lot of time, coach, I'm a shooting guard. I'm this. You're no. I say you're not. You can shift. You can. I said. Oh, I asked him this question. I said, would you be sitting on the bench and only looking at it as a shooting guard, or you can be a forward and play more time? Okay. Oh, now they start. You a lot of time it's like whatever the coach is saying or whatever their parents saying, whatever they like it. I like to be. It's not about you liking to be. How can you serve your team? How can you be beneficial to your team? That's your purpose as a player. How can I help my team? Not how the team can help me to get better. Or it's not like that. It doesn't work. Go get better with your trainer. Go get better with by yourself. Maybe do your daily uh, shooting, daily ball handling, or those things. Nowadays also when they come also to me, I give them homework. Like, this week I want you to do this. Don't rely on just those 2 trainings that we're doing or 3 trainings that we're doing. The team training that you're doing, it's not enough. So my players, after a while, they start understanding that what it takes. A lot of them, they don't know what it takes to go to the next level. Everybody wants to go to the next level, but they don't know how to go to the next level. And because you're going to repeat the same thing, the same pattern, you're not going to, if you're going to rely only the high school basketball, let's say you're about high school or college or whatever, it's not enough. It's not enough. You're not, I mean, it's the one percenters are very rare in this game. And it's like, you're not, as a majority of the player you're going to have, they're going to be not ranked, not, no one knows them, help them. And it's not about just the end result. I want to make the division one. I want to make the, it's not about just division one. Try to play the next level. It might be division two, division three. I've seen a lot of division two, division three guys overseas making millions of dollars, and people don't know about them. But that's how it is. But they develop, they work, they thought like they're the underdogs. I mean, division three, nobody wants me, blah blah blah. They work double, triple. When you're division one and cool, you go there, you can't perform. A lot of NBA, ex-NBA guys overseas, they fail miserably, because they think that it's gonna be everything given to them. When you go there, hey, we're paying you, you have to put the work in. You have to be like the first coming in the gym. You can't be like, I'm an MBA guy or ex-MBA guy, I come cool and this, that. So coming to the point where, that's understanding the game, teaching, the expectation and what they need to do. It's not about just what I think they need to do. What the coaches, I mean, I can train him the right way, but if the coach doesn't want him at that position, we're working for no reason. And at the same time, I mean, a lot of coaches also, they don't know the game and this, that. I understand that too, but he's the coach, he has the decision. Try to get the benefit from it. A lot of times, also, like a lot of high college players I've met, I mean, especially with the women, they were saying that the coach disliked them. They were trying everything right, they were doing every time, but the coach didn't want them or something. Move, you can move. But uh, it's, I mean, again, it's not just, you have to look at it from both angles. Try to first understand the coach, what he wants. If it's everything reasonable that you can do it, work double, come earlier, stay later, work on the weaknesses that you have during the season, not waiting for off season. If you're not playing more than half the time, so you can do a lot of work, you're not getting tired from the season, you're playing a role in the team, make that role bigger. Now every situation has its own, but when you have the experience, you can give to this guy whatever he needs, to the younger kid whatever he needs. And there is the training and the coaching comes together to help them, first to understand the coach what he wants, and at the same time using their skills that going to help the team, the coach for this year. I mean, next year you might have a different coach. Again, it's always a process. Take it day by day. That's what I say always. Take it day by day. Try to improve this day, and don't think of long term. If I have to do this, play Division One, play NBA, play WNBA, or whatever is the goal. Take the next goal. Now, first hit those goals, and eventually you will be close to that door to knock it down and achieve your goals and dreams.
Yeah, I think there's three major points that you put in there that are really, really critical and crucial for the coaches and parents to listen to this. I think number one for players and athletes, and this is a good one for parents, is just to have, as a basketball player, you have to understand what your coach wants. And, like you talked about at the very beginning, and, you talked about kind of like, not necessarily the dirty plays, but the dirty work, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's really the rebounding doesn't go on highlight clip, right? It just
Yeah.
doesn't. But that's what the coach needs. So if you want play time to potentially have a highlight, well, you can't make the highlight on the bench, and then you're not going to be playing. You can't rebound, right? So it's kind of like a two-way sword. So getting players to understand that, and then two, you have to earn it. You have to earn it. It's not given to you. And I think that's actually a really cool story that you share, that NBA players go and flop in Europe because they're just like, they probably just show up. They don't put in the same extra work that a lot of the, the D2, D3, and obviously the international players do, because they have so much work to do. And then finally, just when you're going for those big goals, focus on the milestones and the little things to keep you going and go on the way.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, that's if you want to become successful in anything you're doing, you can't have a set mind, like, like that's the way or that's the route. Every player has his own route, and learning. I mean, as we said about the NBA guy, now if you look at like the most guys that they train right now, the G League guys, that trying to make it NBA or getting a 10 days contract, those are the hustlers. Those they put tons of work. I've seen a lot of those guys, and I've seen NBA players. NBA players, when they have some name in my gym, there's a lot of NBA guys comes in every summer, from Clay Thompson, James Harden, KD, a lot of them in the gym. It's a light work. They come light work. It's very light work. I mean, if I do that, I won't burn calories. Like, it's not. But it's a routine. I mean, they already have. They're scared that they might have an injury, and that's a different goal because they made it already. It's about maintaining, and it's about but the rest of the hungry guys that are trying to make it, those are the ones you have to have that dog mentality in you. Like, I'm going to do whatever. I'm going to learn from everybody. In my time, there wasn't any YouTube, and there wasn't any those, it was like a tape. Someone has a tape of some game, and we go dissect it and learn from it. And how can we learn from this? And how I read one time that Dr. J used to run on the sand on the beach for 45 minutes. This stays with me, and it was an article. Maybe it's true, maybe it wasn't true, but I took it to my heart and I started doing that, like, because I read it somewhere that he does that, right? So, and what Michael Jordan used to do during the summer, working on a different aspect of his game, sometimes on the 3-point shot, against Portland. He was working at that summer against with the 3-point shot to get his 3-point shot up. A summer that he wanted to get the defensive player of the year. So, that mentality also helped me, like, to think, like, you do this, you have to do that. You need to add something else in your game. If you're a good shooter, you can be a great shooter. Don't miss. A lot of times I put a drill that if you miss, you go back to zero, like, or I allow just one miss for if it's a longer shots, many shots. So stuff like that, just to teach them, it's the mindset. Don't be a set mind. Have a set mind, like a mind. The set mind meaning is like, this is it, fixed mind. Like, what, this is how to do it. No, there's nothing like that. There is nothing secret sauce, or it's about the grind, the hustle, learning. Every day learning, every day trying to get better, and serving your team. At the end of the day, it's about winning. It's about making your team better. It's not about you just performing well. A lot of time players ask me, coach, I scored this much point, that much point. And first my question is, did you guys win the game? They say, no, we didn't win it, but I had a good performance. I say, it doesn't matter. And yeah, I mean, we lost by 20 points. That 20 points that you scored, or 25 points you scored, it's useless. It's useless. You didn't serve your team. Think about, well, what can I do? Like, a lot of time I have a player that their surrounding is not that good. I say, you're only thinking about yourself. You guys, if you're gonna get noticed, you have to be winning. So what can you do to change that? They start thinking differently, and you want them to think differently and understand the coach, and don't put excuses. Shut their ears, from their parents, from their friends, from other people that they don't know about the game. They think they know about the game, and they come and give you advices. You have to know from where you're getting your source of advices. Not there's a lot of information, and selecting the right information by itself, it's a huge thing. But if you do your homework, you can know um, who can help you, who can lead you, who can guide you. You have to find those people and stick to there and learn. That's how it is.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, it's just that constant growth mindset of wanting to get better every single day. And where do you get that information from? Because that's a good point. One of the assistant coaches that for our varsity team, he has an AAU program. He's really focused on growth, and he's always challenging our players to be like, you have to stop listening to your parents in the car that are telling you that you should be playing, you should be playing. You have to understand like what it really takes. You have to earn it. You have to, do the little things like we're talking about. And that source of information is so important. important. So as parents, I'm curious, what role should parents have in helping their players develop to become better athletes, better basketball players, and better people?
Just support them, just support them. You're going to finance them for sure, to have the training, the shoes, the club teams and whatnot, just support them. I mean, I know it's hard. I mean, I'm a parent too, but I don't have to fear. Like a lot of time, I see my son not playing, and I don't understand why he's not playing. But I never ask that. I never like, he has to learn, he has to know, he has to go and ask the coach. And when he comes and asks me specific question, I answer. But if he asks me like what's happening and then I say, you know what, you have your coach. Go ask your coach and let your coach. But as a parent, we have to support. If they love basketball, encourage them, support them, and don't false support. There is a false support too. Like he makes tons of mistakes. He's shooting bad shots after bad shot, and you're coming and so don't worry about it. Next game you'll hit it. No, it's not like that. That's not supporting. So talk if you don't know the game. First of all, don't assume that you know the game. As a parent, don't assume. You do your job. I don't go to my plumber if he's fixing my sink or whatever and say, hey, do it this way or that way, or you go to the doctor, say, hey, don't give me this pill, I want to take that pill. It doesn't work like that. Leave the guy doing his thing, support the coach regardless. He might be a small program, some club team, whatever, a small high school, doesn't matter. The coach is spending the time there, putting his time, putting his work, putting his whatever he's putting there, his energy, his try to understand. And it's not about why my son is not playing, why my son is not playing, why my daughter is not playing. And a lot of time they give them false information for the player, and the player gets frustrated because he's between between two hammers, like the hammer of the parents and the hammer of the coach. Meaning like, if he does this, the parents gonna get upset. If he does that, the coach is getting upset. So just shutting down, sometimes from the younger age, you have to understand that, you have to respect your parents, of course, understand what they're saying. A lot of time it's for your own benefit, but not specifically in the game or not specifically in the things that you're doing. So who watches the player more than the coach or the parents? Parents come to the games. They're not coming every time to watch the practice. They drop them off, pick them up, but they're not watching that. What's happening? What did happen during that week that your son didn't play? Maybe he came late. Maybe he was on his phone. Maybe he wasn't paying attention. Maybe the coach was asking to do the drill 10 times, but he wasn't paying attention. He always was messing up and whatnot, even though he's a good player, but his mind wasn't there. And the coach decided, you know what, I want to teach him that, you can't do that, and you have to earn it. So coming to the same thing, like you have to earn the minutes, you have to earn everything. It's not, even if you're playing first five, even if you're playing, doesn't matter. You might be from a first five moving to the last position on the team if you're not focused, if you're not doing what the coach is telling you. A lot of time those kids, they don't listen. They disrespect unintentionally. When the coach, body language, when I was coaching, body language is like, I used to go watch the film, and during my timeouts, everybody has to be surrounded. The players that I'm talking with, the five that playing in front of me, the seven, the rest is like behind me. Everybody's in, because I can any second change a player. And if I'm talking about something, I don't want to repeat that again. I have to move. I have another adjustment to look for. I have another things to focus on. I can't be, my coaches, my assistant coaches, everybody's in the huddle. It's like, so that's the team, that's the chemistry. A lot of time you see like, a player talking with his parents, looking at the fans or girlfriend or whatnot. That doesn't work. I mean, this culture is like, I don't know. I don't want to talk about it, but I watched the game the other day between two high schools, like rivalry, blah, blah. Everybody's scoring a bucket is like, throwing an arrow, putting the gun, boom, boom, this, that, trees, like, like showing a tree or sign or this, that, like, a guy came from the bench, he scored the buckets, he's like, show, what, like doing move, like, what is that? Like, who's teaching those kids? Those kids are learning it from the Instagram, the social media, like, the NBA guys, whatever they're doing, they're copying. It doesn't work like that. Those guys that are doing in NBA, they weren't doing that when they were in high school. They weren't doing that. LeBron James wasn't doing that moves and doing darts and this, that when he was playing high school. He was like so focused. The whole country was talking about his game, and he was so, at younger age. And all those guys, not just to mention any in specific, like all those guys. But once you make it, do whatever you want. Nobody cares anymore. You already made it. You're in the news. Whatever you do, you're in the news. But when you're hustling, you have to be disciplined. Your actions gonna be disciplined. Your behavior, how you treat other players with you. If you're a good recruiting programs in college, they look on those things. How is the body language? How he's reacting? Is he, when they're losing, how is he motivating his team? When he's not playing, is he cheering for his team, or is like just his head is down and he's only thinking about why I'm out, why I need to be on the court, and stuff like that shows and you never know these days who's watching you. You always have to look at it as like, someone is watching you. You don't know who, but someone is watching you. If you come with that attitude, like a good coach might be there and watching me, how can I behave? Don't change your behavior because of the coach is watching. Have that behavior whoever watches it will see that. Don't fake it. Everybody's trying to fake it nowadays. But eventually a lot of them, they won't go anywhere, because a fake product at the end, it's going to be known by it. You can't fake it for all the time. So yeah.
Oh, you can't. The body language screams. It tells everything. It shows the whole entire picture. I actually was listening to a podcast, and this coach was talking about how when she goes on the recruiting trip, she actually goes and watches one of a player play against a team that their team is going to crush, right? And so how is that player going to respond to playing less minutes because that player is not needed, right? What's the body language of that player? And so if you really, unless you are in the 1%, which is almost, it's the 1%. 99% of people are not in the 1%, right? And so if you want to stand out in front of your other peers, the other 99%, then you need to have great body language, do what the coach wants, and have all of these little intangible things that you're talking about if you want to play at the next level, or even if you want to get play time, to be honest.
Yeah.
And so that's, all really important. And I know we're kind of coming up here on time. And so in the last kind of 2 minutes, last fourth quarter, what would your final piece of advice be for just coaches and athletes to just make the most of the game of basketball?
First of all, work on your craft. Keep on learning every time. Not just plays, not just X and O's. Have the psychology. I read a lot of. You have to read a lot of books. About psychology, understanding player, human behavior. How human under stress, how they react. Know your players. Ask about their situation, about their family. Maybe they're having a bad time, having a family issues. Whatever they, be close to them. Try to help them outside of basketball too. A lot of those players, they might not end up playing high level basketball, but they're gonna be a good people in the community. Be that be the servant leader. As a coach, as a trainer, help them, not because of help, just help. Be there. You're a coach. You're like a doctor. You have to cure them. You have to help them. You have to make them better. And a lot of times, you have to say the things that they don't like to hear it. They might get upset, but that's fine too. That's fine. A lot of time I used to cry after games. I used to be mad about games, even though I performed well, but I was like, so why? Because it meant a lot to me. So when you have passion and you're teaching from your heart, teach from your heart, teach them what's best for them. Maybe that day, giving them a life lesson might be more valuable than giving them a drill, or ask your about your players. Don't think about, like, what, those guys are here just for me to move to the next one. I'm an assistant coach. I'm looking for becoming a head coach. I mean, you can become head coach. It will, once you do the right work, people will see that, people will notice. And this is how my business grew in training. I moved here 7 years ago, and when I start training, I never thought about, like, where it's going to take me. Or I saw a problem, and I was watching. I was an athletic director in the gym. Long story short, and I watched a trainer that training a kid, and I was like, what the hell he's doing? And he's on his phone. He was late, and I was the athletic director, and the parents were asking me, where is this trainer, where is that trainer? And I was like, oh, they come late. When they come, they give them just a couple of things to do, and wasn't the one. I don't want to go too much detail in that. So I said, oh my goodness, if I start training, it's going to be like crazy. It's going to, like, I'm going to help a lot of players. So I started just for fun of it, train. I used to train back home, but when I came here, I was like looking for a coaching position more than a training position. I wasn't looking for becoming a trainer. So, and I saw a need, I said, you know what, let me jump on this. And I took a client. I used to pick that client from his house, from his dad's place, to get him to the gym, train him every day. Da, 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 da. And he had the behavioral issues, and he wanted to make the team. He wasn't, like, he was on the JV, but even on the bench. And the next year he was senior. So the summer I worked every day with him. And then he made the varsity team, and the dad was so happy. He was in a bad influence with other younger guys. I talked about it, like, you have to be athlete, separate yourself from those guys to become where you want to become, and helped him, um, not just to make the team, which is like, he did it, and it was a big achievement because he was 5'6". But I mean, he changed. His dad is always, when he sees me, like, his son changed, and a lot of time that's where we need to be, support those players, and regardless of the outcome. We're so much focused on the outcome of everything. We do want to do something because of, don't do that because of this, because of that, because of your personal goals. You can achieve your goals by helping others. I think Zig Ziglar says that, if you want them to help you, or go help other people, stuff like that. So yeah, and always be learning, and never think like, it all. I played 18 years professional, 14 years coaching in FIBA basketball, and I've been training now in Los Angeles about 3 years now. I'm every day learning, every day asking, every day, how can I, it's not just the drill, how to give the drill, how to make them believe. When they don't believe in that drill, they're not going to go too far. They have to know the drill. I explain the drill, why we're doing this drill, why we're doing that, what's the purpose of this. And it's not just, what, combo moves between the leg, behind the back, and all this. We teach that, but it's not about just like, I mean, you can teach any monkey any tricks. I always say that. You can teach any player. I see a lot of young kids between the leg, behind the back, could be, dribbling. Where are you gonna dribble those? Like, it's good to have that. Work on your ball handling. It's a part of it. There is a. Are you working on your passing? Who's working on their passing? Are you knowing how to read the game? Like, a lot of time I give them, my players say, you choose the move. You're going to do this move, I want you to go left, then we're going to go to the right. So uh, pick this move, pick that move. This is after when they develop and stuff, like, I want them to think. Then when they start playing, like, why did you pick this move over that move? This helps you better, this helps you less. To be efficient, you have to work on moving when you're shooting the ball, not just standing there and shooting. I mean, it's a basic stuff. We think it's a basic stuff as a coaches, but those players, they don't know. They never been through those things. I tell a lot of high level players that they're doing coaching now. I tell them, you understand it because you went through it. But now, after so period of time, um, you have to go back to where you started and teach them that way. When you were young, how we were doing that? Were you allowing those things, or were you allowed to do those things when you were young? Most probably not. So you have to think like, if you're training a 10-year-old or 15-year-old, you have to think as a 10-year-old, 15-year-old, but give them in a way that the content that's going to help them, and not the same thing. I see that a lot. I've seen NBA players, NBA trainer training the NBA guy the same way he trains the kid. They learn a couple of things that works with those guys, and they try to apply it with those. It doesn't work. You have to get to know your trainer first, and your trainer's goal is always to help you get better. Not just get better. I mean, you might say everybody, you might get 1% better. No, it's like your potential, whatever potential that kid has, it's our job to maximize it, and to be in a serving place. He has to be a piece, a puzzle in the whole picture. He's not the puzzle by himself. He's not the picture himself. There's a lot of elements, a lot of variables in this game, a lot of changes, a lot of things happen. So adapting to those situations is life lessons too. Things happen. Who thought about coronavirus happening? Who thought about lockdowns happening? Who thought about, I don't know what can happen. Things happen. How did you adapt to that? How did you react to that? And the coaching is always like that. They come up with something, you have to come up with another thing. They go zone, you have to find something against. So they're pressing, you have to find the press breaker. But you prepare them. But during the game, things change. It's like a ping pong. They throw at you something, you throw at them something. And the players also have to adapt. You might be playing a game 40 minutes, the next game you're playing 2 minutes. Things happen. The coach needs something else. Can you adapt to that? Adapting to those variables, those things makes the player better, and makes him better person also. And that's very important too. It's not just making them, basketball is what we do, but not who we are. Who we are as a human being. We have to be a good human beings, and think as a big picture. Especially as coaches, we have a responsibility, or the trainers, for those players' life. We're impacting their lives. Let us impact them in a better way, positive way, beyond basketball.
Absolutely.
So life goes on beyond basketball.
I couldn't have said it better myself. Thank you for so much of that the wisdom that you shared. I really appreciate you coming on here, and just that last little bit of just serve and be where your feet are. Don't focus on when you're 27 and a head coach, or you're 50 and you're head coach at D1. Just focus on right now who you're training, whether they're 6-year-olds, 13-year-old, 20-year-old, in the NBA, WNBA, 8th grade. So I appreciate your time today, Coach V.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. Hope we covered a lot of things. My English is not perfect, but
That's great.
I'll do my best. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Bridging Impact Podcast. We'd love it if you would like, subscribe, leave a comment and a review on whatever platform you're on. It's the best way to help us grow. We appreciate you for doing that. We'll shout you out on social media. I'd also love if you connected with me on social media. Let me know your thoughts. And this is why I do it. I want to share knowledge and wisdom from experienced leaders to people like yourself and myself, so we can have this dialogue and move forward, make an impact on the world. So stay tuned, stay subscribed. Cheers.